Okay, I started recording. So, one of you has to read. In fact, if you can judge.
Shall I
Will I
read?
read?
Yes. Okay. Go ahead.
Sunki, go ahead.
Okay. Yes, I will. In fact, if we can judge from the description of the three lower states of self as the all-wise intelligence, the seer of the subtle, and the seer of the gross material existence, this sleep state and this dream state seem to be figurative names for the superconscient and the subliminal, which are behind and beyond our waking status. They are so named and figured because it is through dream and sleep, or trance, which can be regarded as a kind of dream or sleep, that the surface mental consciousness normally passes out of the perception of objective things into the inner subliminal and the superior supramental or overmental status. In that inner condition, it sees the supraphysical realities in transcribing figures of a dream or a vision, or in the superior state, it loses its master consciousness of which it can receive no thought or image. It is through this subliminal and this superconscient condition that we can pass into the supreme superconscious of the highest state of self-being. If we make the transition not through dream stance or sleep trance, but through a spiritual awakening into these higher states, we become aware in all of them of the one omnipresent reality. There need be no perception of an illusory Maya. There is only an experience of the passage from mind to what is beyond it, so that our mental structure of the universe ceases to be valid, and another reality of it is substituted for the ignorant mental knowledge. In this transition, it is possible to be awake to all the states of being together in a harmonized and unified experience, and to see the reality everywhere. But if we plunge by a trance of exclusive concentration into a mystic sleep state, or pass abruptly into waking mind into a state belonging to the superconscient, then the mind can be seized in the passage by a sense of the unreality of the cosmic force and its creations. It passes by a subjective abolition of them into the supreme superconscious. This sense of unreality and this sublimating passage are the spiritual justification for the idea of a world created by Maya. But this consequence is not conclusive, since a larger and more complete conclusion superseding it is possible to spiritual experience.
Okay. So he's giving an explanation of why the word
Sunki
that.
missed the footnote. Tangada, Sunki missed the footnote. Please read
Okay,
it.
let's clear. Okay. So,
Okay, then
prajya.
Prajna. Okay, Prajna. Yajnavalkya in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad states very positively that there are two planes or states of the being, which are two worlds, and that in the dream state one can see both worlds, for the dream state is intermediate between them. It is their joining plane. This makes it clear that he is speaking of a subliminal condition of the consciousness which can carry in it communications between the physical and the supraphysical worlds. The description of the dreamless sleep state, applies both to deep sleep and to the condition of a trance in which one enters into a master consciousness containing in it all the powers of being, but all compressed within itself and concentrated solely on itself, and when active, then active in a consciousness where all is the self. That is clearly a state admitting us into a higher planes of the spirit normally, spirit normally now superconscient to our waking being.
Okay, even the footnote is quite big. Okay, so let us see what he's saying. We come back to the idea that there are the Upanishadic idea which he has described earlier in the previous para, that we need not think that there is only an absolute reality which is static and it is located above, and there is an unreal world below which is illusionary and false. We need not think like that. We can start with other hypotheses. And he is now examining the philosophy of the Upanishads, where it says that there is not only one, but there are three states, actually four states. Okay? So this corresponds to most spiritual experience, and certainly Sri Aurobindo underlines the reality and the truth of this way of looking at things. So, what is the truth of the Upanishad? There are four levels. The level one is our normal identification with body, mind, life, and we are seeing the physical world, only the forms, but we don't know that we are looking only at the forms. We feel that they are the absolute reality. That is not true, because there is a subtler reality behind the forms, and that we are not seeing. So in other words, we are in ignorance and we are seeing the world only through senses which are defective and limited, and therefore we are in ignorance. And there is also the reign of ego, that which makes you feel separate from everybody else. This is the level one. It is valid so long as you are identified with your body, mind, life, and you are in this plane of consciousness. It is valid for you. It's like a country. Okay? Then you go to another country, you go to the subtler world. Okay? And in the subtler world, you are seeing subtle realities. And this, the footnote says that you are in a condition where you are connecting the subtle with the gross. So you are conscious of both. Okay? That's what happens. All those who have go to the spiritual level of consciousness, you can see the physical world and you can also see the subtle world, just true. But seeing the physical world can be of two types. Remember, he said that in Life Divine much earlier. He said that you can see it in the cosmic consciousness and then the world is real for you. Or you can see it as false, because you are in the only in the self and you are stressing only the self. So this is the explanation of how you can see the unreality of the world. And then there is the third level which goes to the prajna. Okay, that is the supermind. So I'm going to use the word supermind, but he doesn't like the word supermind. He, as I said, uses the word gnosis. Gnosis. You don't pronounce the G, huh? Gnosis. And he also likes the word truth consciousness, because that corresponds to the Vedic terminology. Vedic terminology, Brihat, Satyam Brihat. Okay? Satyam Brihat. Okay? So the truth and the vast. Satyam Ritam Brihat. Sorry, Ritam I forgot. The right. The truth, the vast, and the Satyam Ritam, the right and the vast. So this is what he is, the Brihadaranyaka explaining, that is the, if you are in the subtle world, you see the subtle as well as the real. And that is how, tell me.
One small question. Doesn't he use real idea also for the superconscious?
Yes, it does. Yes, you are right. Because
from Plato, na?
Yeah. That's right. He uses also the word truth consciousness.
Real
Real idea is the supermind has got real ideas, but it's not the real. Yeah, it's like a characteristic. No? When someone is sincere,
that is why
yeah, the sincerity is not the person. It's an adjective if you want. It describes the condition. So that's what he's saying. Okay? So there are so many ways of looking at it. So I'm reading the footnote once again, and we'll see exactly what we discussed just now. Yajnavalkya in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad states very positively that there are two planes or states of the being which are two worlds. Note that. Okay, they are totally two different worlds, two different countries, and the laws and everything changes there. The truth also changes there, and that in the dream state. Dream state is a subtle world, level 2, remember. And one can see both worlds. For the dream state is intermediate between them. So the subtle world, you are seeing the subtle realities as well as you are seeing the gross reality, the gross world. And the gross world can be seen in two ways. You can either see it as real or you can see it as unreal. Okay? This makes it clear that he is speaking of a subliminal condition of consciousness. Subliminal, Swayambhu uses the word for the intra-conscious. The horizontal, when you go horizontally into yourself, okay, we constantly speak of the individual being part of the universe. And what is the universe? There is something below, there is something inside, and there is something above. And there is also something around you. Okay. So this is what it is. So the subconscious, the inconscient, the intra-conscient of the subliminal, Swayambhu also calls it the inner being, and there is the superconscient above. And there is around you also your aura, okay, that's the circumconscient. It's a very small one, but with yogic development, that aura can increase. Okay? And it increases, you should remember Mother's experience, it can increase to even 2 miles, 3 miles into the around you. So you know that you are entering Swayambhu's aura. That's what happened to Mother. Okay, when she was coming from Sri Lanka the first time. So, this is what he's saying. It makes it clear that he's speaking of a subliminal condition of consciousness. Subliminal, remember he uses the words for the intra-conscious, horizontally within yourself. Okay, this makes it clear that he's speaking of a subliminal condition of consciousness which can carry in it communications from the physical and the supraphysical worlds. The supraphysical is the above and the physical world is below, and you can receive both from above as well as below. The description of the dreamless sleep state applies both to deep sleep. Deep sleep is the supermind, okay, the deep sleep, third level, and to the condition of trance in which one enters into a mass consciousness containing in it all powers of being, but all compressed within itself and concentrated solely on itself, and when active, then active in a consciousness where all is a self. So this is the fourth level. Says the deep sleep is the supermind, and above that is the condition of trance in which one enters into a mass consciousness. Remember the word mass consciousness, we also, the Sanskrit, they use the word chid ghana. It's a thick concentration. There is no outward going movement at all. Okay, that is the fourth. Okay, containing in it all the powers of being, but all compressed. They are not a collection of powers. They are all compressed within itself. Just like the chromosomes. They contain everything. All the data which the body can have, it is there compressed in the chromosome. Exactly that. That's the condition of the fourth state. Okay, within itself and concentrated solely on itself. Note the word solely on itself. There is no question of any outward going movement. There is only mass consciousness, completely inward movement. There is no manifestation there. There is no creation of the world. The creation of the world starts becoming possible at the third level, and in this subliminal, okay, what this subtle world, the manifestation starts from the overmind level onwards, downwards rather. Okay, that's it. All compressed within itself and concentrated solely on itself, and when active, then active in a consciousness where all is the self. This is the Brahman. In the physical world, that mass consciousness comes down, and when it becomes active, note when it is active means it is manifesting itself. When it is inactive, it's a fourth state, completely beyond manifestation. So, and that becomes the self, the Brahman consciousness. This is clearly a state admitting us into the higher planes of the spirit, normally now superconscious to our waking being. What does he mean by superconscious to our waking being? We don't see them. Okay? Now, just a little bit of a diversion here, because is it possible for a man to live in two planes of consciousness at the same time? In the physical world, I can't live in America as well as in Britain at one time, not possible. So there is something similar also in the spiritual planes of consciousness, very difficult to live at two planes at the same time. But it is possible, because if you're thinking of the body, not possible to live in two planes. But if you're thinking of your consciousness, it can divide itself. It can live there and it can live here. This is what Ramakrishna describes as Jiva Koti and Ishvara Koti. An individual who lives only on one plane of consciousness at a time. It can even be a yogi. Huh? Don't think it's only the human being, the normal human being. No, it can also be the yogi. He is limited to one plane of consciousness. He is the Jiva Koti. Jiva is the individual soul, and that is the. But there is also an Ishvara Koti. That means, like Mother and Sri, they can live on several planes of consciousness at the same time. Not only two, but they can live on several planes. Your consciousness is expanded, and it is there at the higher level, it's there in the middle level, it's also there at the lower level. Okay, so that's what the description of the footnote. I've gone a little beyond the footnote. Okay, so now we read the para that we read today.
Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
You know, like Mother felt 2 nautical miles away Sri Aurobindo's aura.
Yes.
But when you people were in the ashram when Sri Aurobindo was alive,
Huh.
even around his room, could you feel his presence?
No, absolutely not. We are most ordinary, and at least I did not. I don't know if anybody else did. I'm sure there were some who did. I have no doubt about that. I'm sure some did, but
I forgot to ask this to Ambal.
well. And really, from another point of view, it doesn't matter who has seen and who has not seen. It is possible. And if you are lucky enough, you will see that. And if you are not lucky enough in that sense, then you are on the way. You are on the journey. So you don't need to feel bad about it. Okay. It's a journey that everybody is going through. They are all at different levels and different states. Some are at mile 1, some are at mile 2, some are at mile 3. But if you take Sri Aurobido's yoga, nobody is at the destination yet. That has to come later on. No? But he has given you a roadmap, and he says we have to go there ultimately. We have to become supermen, and that's possible in future if you are a devotee of Mother and Sri Aurobindo. Let me tell you something interesting which is unpublished. Okay? Don't ask me where I saw it, but I know it's a fact because I've read it. Okay? Sri Aurobindo is saying that I will have 1,000 children. Okay? And the 1,000 children are nothing but his sadhaks and the ones who are following his path. And they will become the forerunners of the supramental race. So all those who are following Sri Aurobindo's path, your ultimate destination is sure, whether in the next life or the next life or whatever, but you are absolutely fated to reach the end. Okay, so this is very interesting. In fact, that's the passage in Savitri where he says, I saw the omnipotent children coming down, the amber stairs of life. That's the description he's giving of all the souls that are ready for this transformation. It's a beautiful passage, 1.5 pages, okay, where he's describing. They are the architects of the future, he says. It's a magnificent description. If you type the word amber stairs, you will get the passage. Okay. He uses the word amber stairs, and when Sri Aurobindo says amber stairs, is he imagining like poetry? He answered, no. I've actually seen that in the vision. There, that color, what can I do? I'm just telling you what I've seen. When he says the gold light came down or the white light came down, that's exactly what I'm seeing. It is not an interpretation. That's by sight I'm only describing. So if you want that passage where he's telling you who are the one that will become the supramental race, the children. He uses the word children, and that is the amber stairs. So you can do that. You can make a search in Savitri and you get the amber stairs. It's a beautiful passage. In fact, next time I can maybe read it out to you tomorrow. It's a wonderful, wonderful passage. Okay, let's get back to our text. I'm reading each one, okay, and we'll see whether it is clear. In fact, if we can judge from the description of the three lower states of self as the all-wise intelligence, the seer of the subtle and the seer of the gross material existence, this sleep of state and this dream state seem to be figurative names for the superconscient and the subliminal. The superconscient is above and the subliminal is inside you, which are behind and beyond. Note that. The subliminal is behind. Okay? It's neither below nor above. That's why it is horizontal. Behind. So there is the word behind. Because it is, and beyond. Beyond is the superconscious. Above, vertically above. Beyond. Our waking state. Waking state, level 1, where we are ignorant. They are so named and figured because it is through dream and sleep or trance which can be regarded as a kind of dream or sleep. Okay? So, that the surface mental consciousness normally passes out of the perception of objective things into the inner subliminal and the superior supramental or overmental status. Okay? So, in fact, here let me tell you something. Why do we not see the intraconscient? Because it's always there. And why do we enter into the intraconscient when we are sleeping? Because it is very similar to the phenomena of the stars existing in the daytime, but I don't see them. The stars are there in the sky, but I don't see them. Why? Because the waking consciousness of the daylight is hiding them. So, and when the waking consciousness of the daylight goes down, then you can enter into and see the stars, you can enter into your dream self. Okay? So that's how you can explain that. Okay? Then it's possible. That's why in sleep or in trance, you can enter into the, because the waking consciousness is not sleeping anymore. Okay? I personally found this image very, very useful. Okay? The daylight hiding the stars. Your waking consciousness is like a daylight. It is blotting out the subtler realities. So when the daylight goes down, you see the stars. When your waking consciousness goes down, as in sleep, then you see the subliminal consciousness. Okay? So I'm reading the superior mental and overmental status. And now note very interestingly, he is saying superior, supramental or overmental status. There's a good link between the overmind and the supermind. Okay? It is divided by a thin veil, Sri Aurobindo says, which is translucid. It is not transparent, nor is it opaque. It is translucid. Translucid is like sometimes window panes, which you can't see, but it allows the light to come in. Yeah? So that's the thing. So it's like that. I'm reading the next sentence. In that inner condition of level 2, okay, the spiritual place of consciousness, in that inner condition, it sees the supraphysical realities in transcribing figures of dream or vision, or in the superior status, it loses itself in a mass consciousness of which it can receive no thought or image. Now, this is a very interesting thing. Let's have a look at it. When you are in the physical world, you are seeing solid forms and you understand. You see and you understand. But as you keep going higher and higher in consciousness, the forms start becoming more and more subtle, and finally they are also very fleeting, very images, they don't stay. So at the highest level, there are no forms. So if you want to understand and have knowledge of the highest, which is formless, how will you understand it at the lower level? If your consciousness goes up to there, you have identified and you can understand. Okay, that's very clear. But I want to understand the divine planes of consciousness in my mind, which is used to forms. So what happens? Divine is kind enough. He gives you images, which are representative symbols. That is what a vision is. Okay? A vision is the supreme truth, but supreme truth is formless. So it forms itself into a symbolic image. And that is the reason why you see symbolic images. Okay? It's clear now what I'm saying? The ultimate truth is formless. And with our mind, which is capable only of forms, you can't see and you won't understand. That's why we don't understand. But I want to understand. So the divine is saying, okay, I'll give you, I'll try and help you. And he sends you images. That's why you get visions of the truth. Okay. So I'm reading now the next sentence. In that inner condition, it sees the supramental realities in transcribing figures of dream and vision. That's why I discussed what I said just now. So transcribing figures are visions of symbolic forms. Okay? Transcribing figures. It is transcribing the truth into figures, okay, of dream or vision. And in the superior status, when the mind of man doesn't remain lost in the normal mind but goes up, it loses itself in a mass consciousness. And the formless cannot be spoken about. That's why it is ineffable. Anirvachaniya. You can't speak about it because there's nothing to speak about. Featurelessness. Absolute featurelessness. That's what he's saying. In that inner condition, it sees the supraphysical reality in transcribing figures of dream. In other words, in the second level of the spiritual planes of consciousness, you see the realities in visions of dreams, figures, or vision, and or in the superior status, it loses itself in a mass consciousness of which it can receive no thought or image. Clear, na? At the fourth level, you can't think of it and you can't even express it. It is through this subliminal and the superconscious, the subliminal, intraconscious, superconscious above condition that we can pass into the supreme superconsciousness. The supreme superconscious is the Turiya, the fourth, okay, the Satchidananda, of the highest state of self-being. If we make the transition not through dream trance or sleep trance, but through spiritual awakening into these higher states, we become aware in all of them of the one omnipresent reality. So if you go directly into the third level without going through the second level, then you see the omnipresent reality. If you are lucky, you can see that. There need be no perception of an illusionary Maya. There is only an experience of the passage from mind to what is beyond it, so that our mental structure of the universe ceases to be valid and another reality of it is substituted for the ignorant mental knowledge. But if you go through the second level, the unreality is a possibility. That's what Sridhar is saying. Okay. So, there need be no perception of the illusionary Maya. But there is only an experience of the passage from mind to what is beyond it, so that our mental structure of the universe ceases to be valid and another reality of it substituted for the ignorant mental knowledge. In the transition, it is possible to be awake to all the states of being. That's what I was telling you, Ishvara Koti. You can be awake to all the states of being together in a harmonized and unified experience and to see the reality everywhere. If that happens, you will never see the physical world as unreal. That's what said this thing. Okay? You are there on all the planes together and you have realized fully the truth of the higher level and the lower level. And unified experience to see the reality everywhere. But if we plunge by a trance of exclusive concentration into a mystic sleep state or pass abruptly in waking mind into a state belonging to the superconscious, then the mind can be seized in the passage by a sense of the unreality of the cosmic force and its creations. So if you go directly from your mind to the spiritual planes of consciousness, there is a clear possibility of you are seeing the physical world as unreal. Okay? Then the mind can be seized in the passage by a sense of the unreality of the cosmic force and its creations. Even Sriyamdo had the experience. No? It passes, what's it? Your consciousness, your mind. It passes by a subjective abolition of them into the supreme superconscious. This sense of unreality and this sublimating passage are the spiritual justification for the idea of a world created by Maya. So there is some truth to those who see the physical world as unreal, because you are going from the physical world to the second level where suddenly you get a shock. Okay, so that's what he's saying. But this consequence is not conclusive. It is not that everybody has to pass through that, the illusioniness of the Mayavada. You need not. This consequence is not conclusive, since a larger and more complete conclusion superseding it is possible in spiritual experience. The passage, the nirvana experience, is not compulsory for everybody. That's what he's saying. It's quite possible to experience a cosmic consciousness and then you bypass the nirvana experience. That's what he's saying. We have 7 minutes more. No, 8 minutes. So we can read the next one. Huh? All these and other solutions. So now he's explaining why the unreality is coming. So let's read the next one.
Shall I read?
Yes, go ahead. All these.
All these and other solutions of the nature of Maya fail to satisfy because they have no conclusiveness. They do not establish the inevitability of the illusionist hypothesis, which, to be accepted, needs to be inevitable. They do not bridge the chasm between the presumed true nature of the eternal reality and the paradoxical and contrary character of the cosmic illusion. At the most, a process is indicated that claims to make the coexistence of the two opposite conceivable and intelligible. But it has no such force of certitude or illuminating convincingness, effectively curing the improbability that its acceptance would be obligatory on the intelligence. The theory of the cosmic illusion gets rid of an original contradiction, a problem and mystery, which may be otherwise soluble by erecting another contradiction, a new problem and mystery, which is irreconcilable in its terms and insoluble. For we start with the conception or experience of an absolute reality, which is in its nature eternally one. Supracosmic state, immobile, immutable, self aware of its pure existence, and a phenomena of cosmos, dynamism, motion, mutability, modifications of the original pure existence, differentiation, infinite multiplicity. This phenomena is got rid of by declaring it to be a perpetual illusion, Maya. But this brings in effect, a self-contradictory dual status of consciousness of the one to annul, a self-contradictory dual status of being of the one. A phenomenal truth of multiplicity of the one is annulled by setting up a consensual uh, falsehood in the one, creating an unreal multiplicity. The one, forever self-aware of its pure existence, entertains a perpetual imagination or illusory construction of itself as an infinite multiplicity of ignorant and suffering beings unaware of self, who have to wake one by one to awareness of self and cease individuality to be. It is a very contradictory paragraph.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. That the theory of illusionism is not satisfactory. One problem is there and you replace it with another problem. It doesn't satisfy the one who wants a real solution. That's basically what he's saying. So we have got only 3-4 minutes. So what I'll do today, I'll just read out the summary to you so that we get the essence of what he's saying. The next time we'll redo it. Okay. So, just 1 second. Sometimes it takes time for it to appear. I've got it. So I'm reading the summary of what he is saying here in the paragraph. Okay. 1 second. All these theories of Mayavada, which we have examined, do not satisfy and do not establish the inevitability. That means that compulsorily when you go to the spiritual planes of consciousness, you have to necessarily see the unreality of the physical world. So they are saying that is not necessary at all. To prove Mayavada, it has to be shown that it is inevitable and conclusive. That is the last. So you have to prove, if you want to prove that, you have to show that it is inevitable. What Mayavada does at best is to indicate the simultaneous existence of opposites, but it lacks certitude and conviction. The theory of illusionism gets rid of a seeming original contradiction of the one and many by dismissing the cosmos, thereby creating another new problem. Okay? So, we may put our position as follows. In other words, simply saying my position, what I have to say. We may put our position as follows. There is a fundamental supracosmic reality which is one, eternal, infinite, immutable, static. There is also a phenomenal reality which is cosmic, dynamic, multiple, marked by the transience. It's a world of time and space. Okay? So this is our theory that there are two worlds. There is a timeless world and there is a time world. There is a spaceless world and there is a space world. Mayavada gets rid of the cosmos by declaring the sole reality of the immutable alone. The new problem then becomes one of a cosmos full of suffering and ignorance from which each one has to escape one by one, leaving the world a field of eternal suffering and pain. This is what Mayavada does not solve the problem at all. That's what he said. So it is 8:34. We stop here today, and next time we can redo this para. So, when do we start? Let us see. It is page 469. All these, we'll redo this one. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Page 469, we have to redo all these and other solutions.
Yes.
Okay. Sonki, Yasmin, Archana has left. Shilpa has not joined today. So, au revoir, everybody.